Well, typically, everyone, I have my gavel, and gavel's back in Iowa. If anyone, I'm just going to have to say we're just going to open the meeting. I welcome my fellow Toastmasters and viewers at home and anyone else who's going to be coming in this evening. Typically, I read the mission statement. I've asked Art that he would read the mission statement or say the mission statement. Art, can you give that for us this evening, please?
Yes, the mission of Golden Speakers, like the mission of every Toastmasters Club, is to create a positive and supportive learning environment in which every member has the opportunity to develop verbal communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. Let's get to the mission statement.
Thank you, Art. As many of you know, I have started a new thing with a motivational quote, and I do have that quote here for this evening. So we're gonna listen up here. Everything is in your mind. Your ability to succeed, your ability to fail, your ability to win, your ability to lose. It's just a matter of attitude. Forgive me, I do not have our Toastmaster. Who was our Toastmaster this evening? I'm running a little behind.
Yes, Mr. President, I'm your Toastmaster for the evening.
Oh, great. So, thanks for filling in there. Well, we're going to pass on to our Toastmaster this evening. Take it away, Susan Fry.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, and welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Tonight, I'm going to open the meeting with introducing our role players. Our role players tonight are Vivek as our timer. I will be the grammarian. Karthik will be our all counter. Our general evaluator will be Bob. And our joke master will be Vivek. Does anyone have any questions about their roles?
So if you want to ask the role players in turn to explain their role.
Yes.
We typically do that.
All right. And we'll begin with our timer. Vivek, would you like to explain your role?
Thank you, Madam Toastmasters. Good evening, my fellow Toastmasters and honored guest. I am Vivek Powder, and I shall be the timer for today's meeting. In the meeting, I will note down which speaker spoke for how the length of time and whether they were within the allocated time or not. And I shall present my report at the end of the meeting. And while the speaker is speaking, I shall show the flags accordingly, like the, okay, I think this is blur, I should unblur it. Okay. So this is green signal, so I think it is visible. So this is when you enter the allocated time. And so shall I mention the minutes also? I think for table topics, when you enter 1 minute, I will show this flag. When we enter 1.5 minutes, I will show this yellow flag. And finally, when you cross 2 minutes, I will show this red flag. And you have 30 seconds to sum up your speech. Thank you.
Just one quick note, Vivek. I don't know if you're looking at an agenda, but the icebreaker is 4 to 6. So you'll get the the green at 4, yellow at 5, red at 6.
I mentioned regarding table topics. So for icebreaker also, yes. For icebreaker, it is 4 to 6 minutes. At 4 minutes, I'll show the green flag. At 5 minutes, I'll show the yellow flag, and red flag at 6 minutes. After which you will have 30 seconds to wrap up the speech.
Okay.
And evaluators, did he do evaluators?
Okay. Okay. For evaluator, it is 2 to 3 minutes as written in the Toastmasters sheet. So I think after 3 minutes, you have 30 seconds to wrap up your speech.
Okay. All right, good.
And I will also be your grammarian for the evening. And tonight I will be introducing our word for the day, which is reboot. Reboot is a synonym for new life or second chances. And I will use that in a sentence. At some point in any career, we will reboot and choose a new career path. And also, okay, that's fine. I was just going to add that I will also be recording those who use the word of the day in their presentation and their topics, and be encouraging to let people know how they've used the word in a negative or positive way. And that's all. Thank you. Our next role player is the counter. And that will be Karthik.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Purpose of R counter is to note words and sounds that are used as a crutch or pass filler by anyone who speaks. During the meeting, I will listen for overused words, including and, well, but, so, and you know. I'll also listen for filler sounds, including I'll also note when a speaker repeats a word or a phrase, such as I, or this means. At the end of the meeting, I will report the number of times that each speaker used these expressions. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
And tonight we have a prepared speech by Sean Fry. He's going to be doing his icebreaker. And I'd like to introduce Sean to everyone. So Sean grew up in Niota, Illinois, and Sean and I have been married for 31 years and have 3 adult children, 3 daughters. And Sean is going to talk to us a little bit tonight about his 30-year career in sales, share some fun, lighthearted stories, and give you a snapshot into his 30-year career. Sean?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
One thing. Sean, you're like so up for right now, but I'm your evaluator.
Yep.
So we want to just, Sue's got a great start here for you. I just want to mention that the icebreaker, the objectives for that speech is to have the member introduce themselves to the club, some aspect of themselves that they want to share, and to learn the basic structure of preparing and delivering a speech. I'm looking forward to hearing this, and we'll take it back and take it away, Sean.
Thank you, Jean. And good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Tonight, I want to give you kind of a fun snapshot into my 30-year sales career. But before I do that, I want to tell you a little fishing story. When I was a kid, I grew up in a little bitty town right on the banks of the Mississippi. And we had a pond in that town called Three Corner Pond. And every day of my 13th year that summer, I went fishing at Three Corner Pond. And I'll tell you, fishing is a lot like sales because you got to bait your hook with the right bait. And then you got to cast in the right place. And then you got to be patient and be patient and be patient. And at just the right time, you get a nibble, a bite, and boom, you reel the fish, you catch him, you bring him in, and it's so much fun. And fishing and sales go hand in hand because in sales, you got to bait your hook with just the right product samples. Then you got to cast those samples to the right place. And you got to be patient and be patient and be a little more patient. And at just the right time, and with a little bit of luck, you'll start to enroll your first customer. And it is so much fun. Over the last 30 years, beginning in 1992, when Sue was enrolled and enlisted in the United States Air Force, her first duty assignment was at RAF Chicksands, which is in England, about 40 miles north of London. And I started my first sales job as an independent agency. I found an opportunity to find rental properties for our service members, and in turn, I was paid a commission. It was the best sales job I think I've ever had because I made easy money, but more importantly, I discovered that I love to work independently and without a boss looking over my shoulder. Things were going great, and then boom, we got the news that Susan was being transferred to Altus Air Force Base in Altus, Oklahoma. So in 1994, we relocated to Altus. We got all settled in, and I started another agency. But this time, I sold pro detail services, the services I provided, to car dealers and private individuals. And I absolutely loved the business. I named it Sean's Custom Car Care. And I even wrote a book about the business to teach everybody what I was doing. And it was a lot of fun. I ran the business for 5 years. And in 99, Susan and I decided, the military isn't what it's all cracked up to be. We've enjoyed it. It's been great, but we want to go back, move to the Midwest, put down some roots. So that's what we did. And in May of 99, we moved back to the Midwest. And in the fall of that year, I began a career at Harper Brush, right in Fairfield, where I was their sales trainer and sales recruiter. I absolutely loved my time at Harper. Met a lot of great people, had a lot of challenging direct sales opportunities. And in 2007, I left Harper for greener pastures and entered the waste and recycling industry. And I took to the business like a fish to water. I just love talking trash with my customers. And every year my sales continually got better and better and better. And my commissions got bigger and bigger. And I just thought, man, I'm going to be on easy street if this continues. But in 2016, we got the attention of private equity. Our owners decided to sell the business. And I was fired by the new owners for making too much money. So then it's like, man, I'm 49. I'm unemployed for the first time in my life. Like, what the heck am I going to do? So I just started looking and researching and calling everybody in my Rolodex. And I found an opportunity, which was a really weird opportunity at the time because I'd never heard of it. But I had the opportunity to learn to put tools and parts into custom foam and build incredible one-of-a-kind toolkits. And as I learned this and decided to take the plunge, I applied for a grant from the federal government for $30,000. And I was awarded the grant, and my employers got the money, and I got all the training. And they taught me everything there is to know about putting tools and parts into custom foam. And I just loved it. And in 2018, we landed the biggest deal in company history, a 5-year, $15 million contract to the Army National Guard. Now, during that whole process, I was promised equity in the business, the general manager's position at a higher salary once the deal closed. Well, the deal closed, and our owners sold the business to private equity yet again.
No.
So I worked for the new owners, even though I got no promotion, no bonus, and a year later, I got the axe. But this time, I was prepared. This time, I knew all of our suppliers. I knew all of our competitors. A few phone calls is all it took, and I was back to work. During COVID year 2020, I worked for my new employer independently, and for the last 2 years, I've worked for them full time. And I've had the opportunity to work with major companies like Tesla, SpaceX, and Amazon. And so far, 2023 is off to a banner start. So, the next time that you find yourself in a position to sell something to someone, whether it be a product or your idea, just remember my little sales story. Bait your hook with the right samples. Cast your line in the right place, and then wait and be patient. Wait and be patient. And then just a little more patience. And with a bit of luck, you'll make the sale. And you will have so much fun.
And Jean, as our evaluator tonight, would you like a few more minutes to evaluate the speaker?
Yes, and the way we can get that done is you can now ask the timer to give 2 minutes to everybody to go ahead
Okay.
and send their comments to Sean. And I may need a little more time, but let me just see if I can,
All right,
and things are
Yes.
excellent. You have to work.
sure. So as Jean mentioned, if everyone could take 2 minutes to send Sean comments in regards to his speech. And we can do that at this time. And while everyone is sending their comments to Sean, at this time, I'd like to ask Vivek if Sean had a qualifying time.
As the icebreaker, the allocated time for Sean was 4 to 6 minutes, but his actual time was 7 minutes and 8 seconds. So he
Okay.
did not qualify.
Okay.
Thank you.
But his skills were great. I was so moved.
Thank you. When I practiced it, I was right at 6 minutes, and then I got.
Yep. That's what happens. That's when it always gets longer. It just grows. Always. Yeah.
Mr. Timer, has it been 2 minutes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I will once again ask Jean, do you need a few more minutes, Jean, for the evaluation of Sean's icebreaker speech?
I think I could go now, actually.
Okay,
It's very atypical of me. I'm wondering if that's the right decision. Actually, I have a few more things. I just hate to rush an icebreaker.
no problem.
So maybe we could go on to table topics.
Absolutely. So we will move on to table topics, and our table topics master for tonight is Karthik.
Thank you,
Oh,
Madam Toastmaster. I have 6 questions. Sorry. Yes.
I just wanted to say one thing to you guys. I got a call from Karthik on Monday telling me did I realize that the Second Chances theme, we had done that last November.
Oh,
And I said, oh, I said, but hey, we have a second chance to do it again and get it right. And then he said, well, I was the table topics master then too. And I said, oh, so Karthik has a second chance to do this as well. So we were having fun. So I just wanted to tell you that Karthik and I were giggling yesterday afternoon.
Yes, it was my second chance to be a tabletop master for the second chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I have 6 questions this time, which I think is not repeated. So I have 6 questions. Let me know who would be willing to start and the number of preference. Any volunteers? Yes.
Hello,
Yes,
Carter.
first. Bob, I think first, Bibek raised the hand, so let's go with Bibek and then I'll come back to you.
All right. Looks good.
Bibek, what is the number that you would prefer? 1 through 6?
Okay. So I'll go with 1 this time.
Okay.
Could somebody time Vivek?
Oh, yeah.
I can time myself
And
also.
then,
You can time yourself? Okay. Honor system.
But somebody else can do independent verification. So
I can tell.
that is also good.
so, if you had a second chance to live your childhood, what skill would you like to learn? If you had a second chance to live your childhood, what skill would you like to learn? Example like swimming, dancing, sport, or anything like that.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master. Wow, such a great question. If I had a chance to relive my childhood, which skill would I focus on, or which skill I would like to harness? So for me, that is an easy question because lately I have been into swimming and I love swimming, and I regret that I didn't start it earlier. But nowadays in Iowa, there are not much option. So before I came here, I was so much into swimming. I used to swim a lot. I used to love it. But now in our MI also, they are constructing the pool. So if you guys, any of you have extra money, you can donate to the college fund also. So, but I think it will not be done until I'm here. So I'm here for a couple more months. And that's one thing I would like to do. And the other thing is I would like to have a skill of toast typing that I do have now. But if I started in the childhood, like I would be a great, like I would have, I think in 3 digits, I would have more than 100 words per minute typing speed in fluency, and I would have much accuracy. And I think it might be too like naive or too unsuitable for a child, but I could learn Excel earlier. I could learn advanced Excel earlier. So that would be very useful for my finance. Not as child, but if I went later into my career. So that also I could do early in my thing. So basically it comes down to those things. And so whatever childhood I had a good one, but I don't regret like whatever I did. I had fun in my childhood. But if I could relive it again, I could focus on these things. So that's it. And thank you for the great question.
Well, thank you, Vivek. That's a good one. Next, Bob, would you like to go next?
Sure.
Sure. Okay. So
Yes.
we have questions 2 through 6.
We'll go with number 3.
3. Okay. If you had a second chance at raising your children / parenting, is there anything that you would have done differently? If you had a second chance at raising your children / parenting, is there anything that you would have done differently?
That's a great question. Let me repeat the question back to you so I understand it. If I had a second chance to raise my children, and then I didn't catch the last part.
/ parenting.
/ parenting? Is that what you're asking me? If I would have changed my roles in parenting? Is that the question?
No. If you had a second chance at raising your children, is there anything that you would have done differently?
Oh, no.
Like in terms of parenting,
Yeah. No, I do understand.
any approach? Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for the questions, Mr. Cable Topics Master. As far as I know, there's never been one book or one saying or in any country anywhere that tells you how to raise children perfectly. If there was, we would not be imperfectly as the way we are. That being said, what would I have changed differently? Knowing now that I'm older, I probably would have changed the way they dieted, their food consumption. As we all know, we see everywhere we go, they have actually changed the pyramid on the food as where now they put, maybe you've seen it, as they put French fries, McDonald's like 2 or 3 times a week. They've totally changed the pyramid, totally upside down with the vegetables and the things. In addition to that, I would have not watched so much TV. It's unfortunate as a parent, a lot of people will find that they use the TV as a babysitter. And in doing so, it was due to lack of my parenting skills or my lack of wanting to be the best parent I possibly could be. Those were the things I would have changed raising my children. As far as discipline, I did a pretty good job at that. They will let you know that I was pretty good discipline. Interestingly enough, though, I'll share a story. Whenever the spankings had to met out, I had a rule. You only got 3 spankings. And I never did it in anger at all. They knew that one was coming. We went up to the room and they got their 3 spankings when they needed it. My one daughter, as cute as she may be, decided to stuff magazines in the pants because her time was coming. Still laugh about that at Christmas. And I didn't know whether to laugh or spank her, but I spanked her. And then we all laughed about it.
Thank you, Bob, for the interesting story. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Any volunteer, please? The next one. There is someone raising their hand. Any volunteer, please?
Yes.
I'll do it, Karthik.
Oh, gee.
Who's the one? Said sorry, I missed it. Oh, Sean. Okay,
John,
Sean.
if I may, I
Yes.
believe Jean had her hand up first. Can you go second, please?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
whatever you
Okay.
want.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I was just trying to think of, age before beauty. But I know I'm older than Sean, so that doesn't work. But I'm definitely more
Okay.
beautiful, so that doesn't work. I just couldn't figure that one out.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, Jean.
so
Number 2 through 2, 4, 5, 6.
how about 2?
2. Okay. If you had a second chance to do your prom, what would you do differently? If you had a second chance to do your prom, what would you do differently?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, viewers at home. My senior prom. I was a fairly irreverent person by the time I got to my senior year. I was a bit of a rebel. I was thinking that this whole prom business was a little bit corny, but I didn't want to miss it. So two things, I made my clothes. I always make my own prom clothes, but I brought the loudest, most tropical looking print, and I made this sort of a pantsuit without a suit. It had a little jacket, and I just was loud. It was just a loud thing. So that was one thing I did. I might tone it down a little bit if I were going to do a prom again, but it was really fun because it just was like permission to just really have a good time. But the other thing was, I thought you were supposed to be, unfortunately, pretty tipsy, if not outright drunk, for your senior prom. And I'm a little person, and I didn't really have a good tolerance for alcohol. So my boyfriend and I got a cold duck. Cold duck was the big drink at the time. And honestly, I feel that the prom for me was very much a blur, because we did that early and I thought, okay, this is when you're supposed to do this. And I missed a lot of it. So if I were going to do my prom again, I might tone down my outfit, and I would definitely probably not drink alcohol so that I would experience my prom. Because right now it's pretty hazy as to what happened. I know we all had a good time, but the details are sadly missing.
Okay, Jean. Okay. Sean, you want to go next?
Sure.
You have questions 4, 5, and 6.
Let's go with 6.
6. Okay. If you had a second chance to redo your 20s, what financial decisions would you have made differently? If you had a second chance to redo your 20s, what financial decisions would you have made differently?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Don't do it. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. When that first credit card offer came in the mail, and Sue was in the Air Force, and we were pretty broke, didn't have any kids yet, but they said we could have $5,000 to spend however we wanted. We got excited. And it was a cheap interest rate. I mean, who cares? We're going to make a lot more money. Things are good. I mean, after all, it's 1994. And it's fun to go to the mall and spend money you don't have. But it's a dumb idea. It feels good at the time, but long term, you're like, wow, it didn't take too long. And then our first daughter was born, and the next thing we know, it's Christmas, and man, it's easy to swipe the credit card. So I would tell my 20-year-old self, and funny enough, we have 20-year-old daughters, and we tell them all the time, don't do it. Learn from our mistakes. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, I have, I think, 2 more questions. I'm not wrong. or one more question? One. No, I have two more questions. Yes. Any volunteers? Do we have time for two more questions or?
Our scheduled time is up to 8:30, I think, but that is including the evaluation. So I think we should cut out 3 minutes from it. So if we do
Okay.
fast, we can have two more questions. Yes.
Bob, do you think we should go for another question or you can just cut off?
Oh, excuse me. It's 9:22. I mean, 8:22.
8:22.
Yes. I lost my format here. I checked out. We have. Oh yeah, we can do another one.
Another one. Okay.
Yes, we can do another one.
Any volunteers? Hey, Mithilesh, yes. So I have questions 4 and 5 for you.
4. I'll go with 4.
4, okay. Okay, it's kind of different. Okay. If you had a second chance to live a day with someone who has passed away, who would it be and what would you do? If you had a second chance to live a day with someone who has passed away, who would it be and what would you do?
Okay. Okay, very emotional question. Okay. If I had a chance to live with somebody who had passed away from my whom I know, then I would that person will be my grandfather. Actually, he passed away 2 years ago here in USA. Actually, if I had he passed away because due to illness, though. However, if he had been alive, I would love to go with him back to my ancestral village. He used to say that we had a huge we used to have a huge property there, pond for 2 ponds, and yeah, and he used to say to us that during monsoon time, when it is to rain a lot, during that time they used to catch a lot of fish and used to cook and eat whole day. And yeah, that part I would like to repeat with him and his family of that time. And further, I liked the way he used to lead the community programs that I used to see while I was a child. While I was in childhood at that time. Yeah, those things I would love to experience and feel the same. Furthermore, the way he guided of the family to the right direction. Yeah, I would love to remember him, and I'm very much hopeful that I will continue the way he taught us to move ahead in our life. By saying this, I would like to thank you for everybody to give me opportunity to speak on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Mithilesh. Thank you. Okay. Back to Toastmaster.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Babak. And at this time, Mr. Timer, which table talk speakers qualify tonight?
All of the table topic speakers qualified. So
Oh,
you want me to
great.
name everyone? For the
Yes,
voting?
please. Mhm.
Okay. I was the first one, and I spoke on childhood. Bob was second. Bob went second. He spoke on parenting children. Then Jean, she spoke regarding her poem. Oh, I can pronounce. Okay. So Sean, he went next. He spoke on financial decisions. And Mithilesh, he spoke on living with someone who passed away. So those were the 5 ones, and everyone was within the regular time.
Good job. Mr. General Evaluator, back to you.
That would be me. Okay.
Is
Well,
that correct?
yes, goes back to me. Thanks, Sue. Yes.
We still have a speech evaluation to hear from Jean.
Right. And we also need to vote on our best table topics. Is that right? I think that's
Yeah.
where the Sue was going.
Yes, thank you.
You want us to go ahead and vote, Sue?
Sue?
Yes, at this time, let's everyone send your votes to me, voting for your best table topic speaker. And everyone is qualified.
Mhm.
Has everyone placed their votes?
Okay.
Okay. I would like to congratulate Jean. Jean won the most votes for table topics tonight. Congratulations, Jean.
Thank you, Susan. I do have something to add, Sue.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, what we do at our normal meeting, when we send those things in, we wait till the very end of the meeting when Jean, she'll have our ribbons.
Oh,
And
I'm so
we'll
sorry.
rumble, and then we present the best of the best.
Mhm.
And this is what happens when you actually take a role for the first time. So you're doing exactly what everybody does, because all of a sudden you've watched it a number of times and now you're doing it and you're going, wow, what comes next? And it's like that. So the good news is we get to do it again at the end. We'll have the ribbons, and you're completely on trend here.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Now, we're going to pass it off to me, the general evaluator. Thank you, Sue. And as general evaluator, I'm going to call on our role players for this evening.
Oh.
First,
I think Jean is still yet to evaluate.
she hasn't given her evaluation yet.
That's right. See, we kind of jiggled the agenda around a little bit, so that makes it a little harder to
Okay.
follow, but I still have mine to go for Sean. And then we also have whoever did table topics evaluating. Was that Dan? Yes, we have. Oh, perfect. So Bob's the general evaluator, so you can line up your evaluators now.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead. So, would you go ahead and do the evaluation of our
Yes.
speech tonight? Thank you. I should have introduced you correctly. Our tabletop, or excuse me, our speech evaluator.
You're in Florida, you've got other things to think about. Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and particularly Sean. I just loved Sean's speech. So personal, so warm. I'm going to have a couple of things I can mention to him, but just a great start out of the gate. Really great start. So the things I really liked, things where he excelled, was right at the beginning. He gave us 3 points, and this was going to be the structure that his speech would hang on. He's relating it to fishing, sales to fishing. So you want to bait with the correct bait. You want to put the hook in the right place, and then you want to be patient. So right there, and then he had a statement. He had a very smooth connection of fishing to sales. And now we know what the title is. It was warm, it was quirky. And he's going to now tell us about his sales experience. couple things I really liked. He had the visual book that he's written, the prop. I like props. He also had good hand gestures. He had an axe, and he said, or wait for it, but wait. And then he also had something he said, I felt like a fish out of water. And that was also on theme because we're talking fishing. So that was, I thought, very well done too. And finally, his conclusion wrapped around. He said, next time, make sure if you're trying to get someone to buy something or you're trying to persuade them, then make sure you're, again, back to the 3, baiting the hook, putting the hook in the right place, and then being patient. Something I would give to Sean just to be aware of is that these Zoom windows, there's dimensions to them. So he had very good hand gestures. He could focus a little bit more on figuring out where his hands need to be in the frame so that they don't drop too far below and your audience misses all that great personal nonverbal communication. To challenge himself, this is what I would say for Sean. He had 3 things: giving samples, casting the hook in the right place, and then exercising patience. If he wanted to really tighten up and polish this story, a suggestion I would have would be to give an example of a story when he had success giving a sample. So the sample was raised as a theme, but I didn't really hear a sample story. I know he had a story about it from Harper Brush that I've heard separately. So, and the same thing with casting the hook in the right place. So how would that give a specific story or example of that happening in a sales situation where you put something in the right place? And then finally, the same thing with patience, a time when you actually had to exercise patience like you would with a fish on a hook, and you got the reward. So that would be a way to tighten that up. Pick the stories that most support those 3 pieces. And then I think it's like a slam dunk, I think, for really effective organization and communication. Very well done, Sean. Really looking forward to the next one. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Jean.
Thank you, Jean. Now we're going to move on to Dan, our table topics evaluator. Mr. Table Topics Evaluator, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Before I start my time, would it be all right if I take 3 to 4 minutes? I've got 5 people to evaluate. I think 2 to 3 is a little short. So 3 to 4. My first speaker tonight was Vivek. He was asked if he had a second chance at childhood, what skill would he like to learn? Vivek did a number of exemplary things as he prepared his answer. He took some time to think about it. He thanked the topics master. He said, "What a great question." He gave us the feeling that he was confident, enthusiastic about delivering his answer. I think the only suggestion I could come up with for Vivek was the idea of speaking slower so that the ideas that you're expressing have a little more impact on your listeners. But all in all, great job. Bob was asked if he had a second chance at raising children, what would you do differently? He took some time, he greeted the audience. He knew how he wanted to answer the question. It was interesting, he said, there's no book that tells you how to do it, but thinking it through, he would change diets and the amount of TV. I think the only suggestion that I've got for you, Bob, it was a great response. The only feedback that I've got for you involves the discipline, spanking, and the the story of your daughter in the magazines. I'm being kind of a stick in the mud because that was a fun story, but it wasn't exactly as much on topic as the rest of it was, and it was kind of like a second response. So I think if you would have stuck with the first 2 points, you would have had a stronger table topic overall. Good job. Jean was next. I learned some dark and seamy details about her previous life. I'm still trying to recover. She was asked if she had a second chance at her prom, what would she do differently? I think almost all of us kind of think back on our proms and have those same kind of regrets. But she had 2 clear answers. She would have toned down her clothes. She would have probably not drunk the alcohol, is the way she said it. And she had an excellent wrap up. She referred back to those points that she had made. I'm having a difficult time coming up with a suggestion for Jean. I suppose gestures, maybe something to indicate that after you'd had a large quantity of cold duck, you were not operating completely normally. Maybe something that gave us the idea you were a little shaky. Might have been fun. The next speaker was Sean. He was asked, if you had a second chance to redo your 20s financial decision, would you make differently? I thought that was going to be a tough question, but he really had the ready answer. He had a good story, and the story's always the best response, and he delivered it very well. It was impressive. I think the only quote suggestion I would have for you was you can take a little more time to organize your thoughts. The reason I'm not really strong on that point is what you delivered was very organized, very good, and you had a nice wrap up. So great overall job. And finally, Mithlesh, asked if he had a second chance to live with someone who's passed away, who would it be and what would you do? What I liked about Mithlesh's response was that he was speaking with his heart about his grandfather. He was saying that he would love to experience and some of those things that he saw as a child with his grandfather and feel that same way. Again, I think Mithlesh, my suggestion would be take a little time at the beginning to organize your thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. Bear with me one. Well, now it is time to hear the reports. No, it is not. I get a no.
So at this time, I think we're going to ask each and everyone to send their votes to me for the best evaluator. And tonight we have Jean and Dan as our evaluators for table topics and speech.
First, I think
We need to ask Vivek if both qualified.
Yes, pardon me.
I probably didn't.
you are right, Dan. Also, you took the extended time. You didn't qualify for the extended time. So only Jean qualified, and by default, should we vote?
Wonderful. So that at this point, Jean is our only qualifier for the evaluators. So congratulations, Jean. You win unanimously. Good job. All right. So we will be moving next to our reports for the night. And
Now that's my
Let's
kid.
see. No, not well. I'm sorry.
You can pass it on to me.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're giving this report. Okay. Mr. President.
I've been jumping to go and I keep getting,
It's actually the general evaluator takes over at this part. That's,
All
Sue,
right.
I think it's on the agenda there, but you never see it.
Okay.
But
I apologize. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
All right.
see, you really got a crash course on the agenda here.
All right.
you did a great job, Sue.
I'm trying. All right.
All right.
So, Mr. Evaluator, back to you.
Thank you, Madam. Madam Toastmaster. Well, we're going to start off our reports this evening. Our first report is our timer. Mr. Timer, can you share that?
Thank you. So without further ado, so here goes my report for the meeting. The meeting started right on time at 7:45. And we started the speech at 7:55, the prepared speech. Sean took 7 minutes and 8 seconds, and he was above the allocated time. And during table topics session, I took 1 minute 56 seconds, Bob took 2 minutes 15 seconds, Jean took 1 minute 53 seconds, Sean took 1 minute 51 seconds, and Mithilesh took 1 minute 55 seconds. And after that, the evaluation session, Jean was evaluating Sean. She took 3 minutes 28 seconds. She was right on the borderline, so I was a bit lenient on her. And then, although he asked for extended time, he was 15 seconds above extended time. He took 4 minutes 45 seconds. And that's my timer's report for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. Great job, Vivek. Now we're going to move on to our grammarian reporter. Sue, can you share?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah. As grammarian, I chose the word of the day as reboot. And unfortunately, I did not hear anyone use the word reboot tonight. But just want to congratulate everyone on their table topic speeches and Sean as well. Everyone did a great job overall. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Sue. Do you have anything else to add? I don't want to cut you off.
That is everything.
Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to move on to our all counter. Karthik, can you share, please?
Sure. Thank you, General Evaluator. So I noted Sean used and more than 20 plus times during his icebreaker speech, and couple times. I missed noting down the R counter role for during his table topics. Moving on to Bibek, he used and 6 times, used to couple times, like 5 times, 4 times, and so couple times. And then Bob used and 4 times, and I'm not able to find what it is. A couple times, and then Jean used false start once during her table topics, so once, and then she used definitely, probably, which I think she would have used one of the words rather than both. And then in her speech evaluation, she used really 4 times, and then 5 times. That was, which is a false start. She did it once. And then Mithilesh used and yeah, about 10 times, and then and 4 times. And table topics evaluator Dan used and once, and I didn't notice much in his evaluation. Yes, that's my report.
Watch out for Karthik.
Yes. Good job. Thank you, Karthik. Next, we're going to move on to our joke master.
Hey,
Hey, we're back. Yes.
yes, I'm here again. So, so who is ready for the joke? Where is the cheer up? Hello.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so here goes the joke. A teenager brings her new boyfriend home to meet her parents. They are appalled by his haircut, his tattoo, his piercings. Later, after the boy leaves, the girl's mom says, "Dear, he doesn't seem to be a very nice boy." To which the daughter replies, "Oh, please, mom. If he weren't such a nice guy, why would he be doing 500 hours of community service?" Then other joke. Microsoft is working on a software for self-driving vehicles. So I can't wait until my car suddenly stops in the middle of the highway and reboots to install the updates. So after
Very good.
Karthik said there was no reboot, so I put this joke right now.
Will you say the punchline again? I was so excited hearing reboot that I lost it.
Okay. So I can't wait until my car stops on the middle of highway to reboot itself to install the updates from Microsoft. So that is the car from Microsoft.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, yes. Okay, very good. I understand.
So
Yep.
I have another one. So why do the French people eat snails? Anyone?
No.
They don't like fast food.
Yeah.
Okay. One last one. There I have the last one.
Mhm.
The 22nd and 24th president of the USA had the same parents, but they were not brothers. They are not the brothers. So how can this be possible?
Question again.
The 22nd and the 24th president of the USA, they have the same parents, but the two of they are not the brothers. So how can this be possible? Because they are
It's
the
like-
same guy. He is the same guy.
It's like a difference between them must be like 100 years.
No. Oh, sorry. So he's the same guy. He is like Grover.
Oh, name
Cleveland.
same.
Grover Cleveland. He was the 22nd and 24th president of USA. So he's the same guy.
Junior and senior. You
Was
mean
the
junior
same
and
president?
He's the same guy. After one term, he was re-elected again after one term. Like in 22nd and 24th term, like he was re-elected
Oh,
after.
oh,
We did say that.
same guy.
Yes. same guy.
Yes.
Oh,
Mhm.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's my joke. Thank you.
All right, good.
Yeah, very good.
great job with that. Now, we are going to move on to my evaluation of the evaluators. We'll start with Jean first. Jean's first evaluation on Sean's speech. I like the way Jean starts off. She likes to build Sean up, and she says, "I love your speech. It was so warming." And Jean is a very good listener. She went right in there. What she did, this is important for a good evaluator. She stated that Sean had 3 points. And since she listened so well, she pointed out the first point, the bait, the hook, and the patient. So you know she was listening quieted. It's not that we haven't heard Sean's speech, but it's great to be reminded those PowerPoints. And then she went on to the fishing and then how Sean related it to fishing and sales. And I like the way also Jean pointed out, of course, at Sean's speech is the patience. Jean gave good hand gestures. She gave a conclusion on Sean's speech. She pointed it all out. That's great. She knew what the whole body was, and she gave good suggestion with an actual suggestion. So it wasn't just a suggestion. She kind of acted out and said that it was. My only suggestion to Jean would be, unfortunately, I don't know if I have a suggestion because you did so well. So my only suggestion is that I need to have a suggestion. Suggestion I have. Dan, he was up next. Now, Dan, when Dan started off, Dan knows from experience that you want to kind of talk fast through the first and second one. You spend a little time in the third and fourth one so you can watch your time. And my first note was Dan didn't spend too much time on Quebec. And I thought he was on a roll. He just zipped right through it. He's doing what he's supposed to do it. He did repeat the question back to Quebec, so he was listening, and he gave a good suggestion. Next was me. He highlighted my story. He gave a great suggestion how my tail end story about the kids did not fit in. And that's a good point for a listener. Even though they were like two different stories, I should have focused on them. So Dan was watching my speech really well. Next, when he came to Jean, Dan's face kind of lit up, and he had good humor. And when he listened to Jean's speech, so he was really pointing out, he just has a good humor. And he brought up a couple of points. One being, he wants to get the rest of the story when meeting's over and learning something new about his wife. And I thought that was really good. So he makes it real humorous. Suggestion, should you may give an example? Okay. And then Sean was next. Again, he went over Sean's speech. It was hard to change anything with Sean because Sean's really good at what he does. He just kind of quoted the speech, and then but he says that I gave a good suggestion, but I don't remember what the suggestion was. Then Methlush, he liked how he gave his speech about his grandfather, and it was touching. A suggestion that I like Dan gave, a suggestion that he give Mithlush a little more time to think about it. And those are great suggestions. And that is my report. Oh, Dan, the only other suggestion I have for you is your time. I started you over the top, went through the middle, but yeah, watch your time. Other than that, great.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. General Evaluator. And we will move on to our meeting awards for tonight. And we had one qualifying time for the evaluators, and Jean would be our winner for best evaluator tonight.
Hey.
And Jean also takes the prize tonight for most votes for the table topics. Congratulations. Back to you, Mr. President, for our closing comments.
Thank you,
And
Sue.
we have best speaker, I believe.
We have one more award to give out this evening.
Okay.
Technically, he did not qualify,
He did not qualify.
which bums us all out to no end, of course.
Does that mean I have to do it again?
No.
See ya.
Oh,
But we could do a icebreaker first shot thing and just give a shout out to Sean, even though he went over time, but you have to just start where you are. So I don't know about you guys, but I would like to give a shout out to Sean. Can we do that?
Absolutely.
We'll do best speaker.
Yeah.
It went
Good
over.
job,
Does
Sean.
that happen? No?
Yay.
Good one.
All right. Okay.
All
Well,
right.
thank you, everyone, for everybody involving and adding. It just makes for a great meeting when everybody's up on their game. All these speeches, and it was just a wonderful meeting. Before I close this evening, is there anything that anybody pulls away from this meeting they'd like to add? Yes, Dan.
Mr. President,
Yes.
this is Art. I would like to know if Mithlesh and I'm sorry, there's one other guest.
Yeah,
If these, I've been away, and so I'm not sure if they're new members or if not. If they're guests, I'd like to know what they observed about our meeting that they liked.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. It was a great evening today. Unfortunately, I'm in library, in university library. That's why I didn't get a chance to talk because I might have disturbed the others. I didn't manage to sit at home and participate, but instead of missing it, I would have preferred to at least attend in library. That's why. Otherwise, it would have been like a very fruitful evening if I shared my thoughts also. But thank you very much for this evening.
Mhm.
Thank you.
For me, meeting a native speaker is what I expect from this meeting. I can converse in English properly, and they point out where I do mistake or where I can further improve. So from that perspective, I find criticizing the weak point is the way I want. I find myself getting most benefit from this meeting. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Mhm. Mhm.
Thank you. Nicholas? Well, like I said, it's been a great meeting. And I don't have my gavel, but however, I'm going to officially close the meeting. Yay!
Yay.
Yay.